Hi, I'm Kate Thome, and in 1992, Singapore joined an international effort to clean up the beaches. Not exactly clean it all up forever and ever, but to provide data, a kind of snapshot of what our beaches look like in about a 1.5 to 2 hour time period all over the world on the third Saturday of September. Groups join together, all kinds of groups, community groups, school groups, office groups, and go to the beaches near where they live and not only pick up trash, but they also count it all. This is a sample of a data card, and we're looking at, here's a big poster advertising it. We're looking at classifying the kinds of items that we pick up. Plastic items and counting straws, counting cigarette butts, for instance. They're plastic, they don't break down very quickly and are quite a problem for the marine environment, among many other things. And this data is then compiled with all the other groups in the countries where there are participants, as well as within the regions sharing the same waterways, as well as within the same regions of the world. And it's quite amazing to see all the countries in the world who participate. And 76 countries was the biggest number in 2007. We had 66 in 2008. And all the data is then compiled into a booklet. The booklet doesn't just sit on the shelf, though. The booklet with all the results of all the items counted is then used locally and internationally to help enact legislation to prohibit the dumping of trash at sea. And that's such an old problem. You know, we've had this concept of the ocean as being so forgiving, just dump it in there, it'll go away. And sadly, of course, you can see items like glass bottles at the bottom of the sea and metals. But what we've really been finding quite disturbing is that plastic, these bags, well, while it can be in the sea, just in its original state, undulates, or as it fills with water, it does a subsurface float. And marine mammals, young whales, are very poor at distinguishing this from their favorite food, such as jellyfish. So it's a problem for the animals living there because they mistake it for food. But also, as it breaks down over time, it doesn't go away in the sense that it breaks into smaller and smaller bits that are then ingested in animals. And we're finding this plastics is building up. It's quite disturbing, and there's a lot of research going on about this. And even the most remote beaches are having plastics build up on them, with seabirds eating them, eating the bits. They've done studies of sea animals that have died and found things like a big plastic ball or big plastic bottles in them, that the animal thinks its stomach is full, but it dies of starvation because its stomach is full of trash. So when the groups go out, they're trying to record what are these items and to sort of track some of the trends. We've seen an increased trend, certainly in aluminum. We've seen more Pampers washing up. We've seen certainly the plastics, almost more than 80% of what we pick up is a plastic origin, which is quite high internationally. We have so much through the processing of plastics through the petrochemical industry that plastics have just taken off here in Southeast Asia, and our statistics are higher than anywhere else in the world for plastics. And that's a concern for all of us as consumers. I know there's a lot of interest now and talk, not as much action as I'd like, about cutting down on the use of plastic bags by consumers. But our debris isn't just, the debris that we're cleaning up on the beaches isn't just a ship dumping at sea. but it's also debris that washes down through the drains. So there could be an overflowing trash can, or you could have carelessly dropped something coming out of a shop, plastic packaging and or a little coffee bag or something. And it will be washed through our heavy rains down into drains, which eventually empty into the sea. So as consumers, we're part of this. It's not somebody dumping it deliberately at sea that is the culprit. We all are. We all use these items. And the more we can gather information about what's on the beaches, the more we start to affect change, and we start to see people choosing not to take a plastic bag because they know there's a lot more involved in it than just their one-time use out of the shop. SAS has been involved in the coastal cleanup since 1992 when it started in Singapore. I remember the first time we did the cleanup, I thought it was a one-time deal, and it's been sustained many years through the help of many, many volunteers, beginning with the Nature Society, and now the National University of Singapore has taken over the leadership of it. And there are groups all over our beaches, all over Singapore, on Pulau Ubin, and it's spreading in the region. Indonesia has been doing it. Bintan has a cleanup, and SAS is particularly interested in the mangrove. We tried to assign schools the beach closest. Our location here in the north of the island, we're closest to Sungai Buloh, and Kranji, and it's been quite amazing to be working out there over all these years, over 10 years in the mangroves. We're really seeing the effect of having more cleanups with the tangled roots of the mangrove trees. It's prime for plastics being ensnared in those roots, and they stick around. They're covering over critical habitat for our marine creatures. The mangrove is kind of the kindergarten of the marine world. Shrimp and many other organisms spend their early years in the sort of protected backwaters of the mangroves, and with plastics in there, it impedes their development. The plastics and other debris that thickly cover the low tide areas block off access for crabs and other organisms to being able to burrow down and be protected during low tide. So it's been fantastic to see groups go out every year. SAS always has a big turnout. Last year was our biggest turnout. We were so surprised, almost 160 volunteers, which was tremendous. Other groups go during the year once a month, and that's having a huge impact as well on the sort of back mangrove area, clearing out debris that's accumulated over years and years. It's a fantastic effort. We have great documentation. We have data over the years where we can look at our results within Singapore, and it's great to get people out, because every time you're out there, you think more about everyday use of debris that doesn't break down very easily. It inspires people to action. There's more awareness about the entanglement of organisms in fishing nets and such, so that we have really a broad base of information for people to start to act upon. So it's a great opportunity for people to get out, and as the Ocean Conservancy, which coordinates this internationally, says, sea change starts with you. So come join us if you can. Thanks.